I'm Stubby Nubs, this is Mustache Mike, and we're about to take you behind the sawdust. So let's get started with the woodworking news. Mike Rainville has finally got the honor he deserves. He recently received the Vermont Wood Manufacturer Association's Woodworker of the Year Award. Of course, he's served on the board of the association that gives out the award for the last 16 years as its president, but that's neither here nor there. He says the award is usually given to someone who's done something in their business that's innovative or motivating, and they just happen to think he qualifies for the award this year, which just happens to be right before he retires. Sounds to me like someone said, Mike's retiring, what should we get him? I don't know, just give him that award. All kidding aside, Rainsville has run a woodworking business since 1979, employing 40 people, and he owns a woodcraft store in Middlebury. So, he has done plenty for woodworking in Vermont.
Steel City Tool Works is no more. The popular machinery maker with the By Woodworkers for Woodworkers slogan closed its doors on March the 31st. The company set out in 2005 to change the rules of the industry. They hired a small staff of veteran designers to create a line of high-quality woodworking machines. But they seemed to struggle with their vision from the start, and after several restructurings over the last decade of business, little remained of the original version. If you own a Steel City machine, you can still get replacement parts through their technical support line.
The National Hardware Show is celebrating its 70th anniversary March 5th through 7th at the classiest of all locations, Las Vegas, where Britney Spears recently stopped her show to cuss out a fan for calling her fat. As someone who used to run a hardware store, I can tell you that these shows can get pretty wild. I remember one year we totally took over the Radisson Hotel in Toledo. Imagine 3 wild hardware guys hitting the continental breakfast. They said I couldn't fill my pockets with muffins for lunch, but I paid $40 for this room. I could do what I want. At the show, they were giving away all kinds of stuff. Glue samples, people were mixing their own paints and stains. I had 2 whiskey sours, and I still managed to get a 2% discount from the sandpaper guy. Good times. Glenn Huey and Chuck Bender recently took on one of the roughest subjects in wood finishing, steel wool versus steel wool substitute. Many woodworkers use steel wool between coats of finish or for a final buff after it's dried. Others prefer Scotch-Brite pads or other substitutes. But do the substitutes really work as well? Well, Glenn likes the way Scotch-Brite pads can be wrapped around the edge of a molding, while Chuck believes that steel wool cuts the finish better. But the big tip to come out of their conversation was that they don't think you should use steel wool between coats of finish at all, because it can leave a film that can cause adhesion problems for your next coat. Fine sandpaper is a better choice between coats, while steel wool is great for a final buffing. It was a gripping discussion, as you can tell, and you can listen to it for yourself at the link below.
Chris Schwartz is throwing convention out the window of his small hand tool workshop. In a recent blog, he takes exception with hand tool plane theory that states long planes are for straightening wood while short planes are for smoothing it. He says that all planes can do some straightening work and most can do some smoothing too. In fact, some of the finest woodworkers do most of their work with a single plane. The long and short of it, according to Chris, is this. A hand plane can easily and reliably flatten a surface that is about twice the length of its sole. There are some exceptions to the rule, which is why you will want to read this blog over at Popular Woodworking. KDC Software has released version 10 of its cabinet design program, and they claim it is the best one yet. Project manager Jeff Murphy says they've made it faster and easier to use. It now can be incorporated with CNC equipment, and it comes with more than 100 door styles built right into the database. This version also optimizes work with a touch tablet software, allowing you to show customers what their cabinets will look like and even control shop machines. The software is popular among medium to large scale production shops. It costs about $2,000, but they also have a monthly rental plan. Now, that may not be useful information to the average garage woodworker, but professional shops will want to check it out for sure.
If you're literate, you'll literally love this next story. Firefly Books and Fine Woodworking have teamed up to give away a pair of books on canoe making. Imagine yourself drifting down a glassy stream, the birds chirping in the air, the occasional trout jumps up into your boat. That's living. But you can't live the good life unless you have a sweet, sweet canoe. And what better way to own one than to build it yourself? Go to the link in the show notes and leave a comment on the finewoodworking.com blog to win a copy of Canoe Craft by Ted Moores or Canoe Paddles by Warren and Gidmark. That's all there is to it. The deadline is April 29th.
Making a canoe out of wood may be a pretty cool idea, but a penny farthing bicycle? Now that takes it to a whole new level. Ron Schroeder of Jacksonville, Florida, a cancer survivor who said he wanted to let some of his crazy out before he passed, has proven once again that woodworkers are the greatest people on the face of the earth. His big wheel bike incorporates a unique walking rear end drive that has to be seen to be believed. You can see it in a blog written by Ben Blackmar at the link in the show notes.
Using wood in bicycle making is nothing new. In fact, an interesting article found in the May 1896 issue of Stove and Hardware Reporter, yes, there was an entire magazine about stoves and hardware, noted that the effect the bicycle was having on the lumber trade. It said that American factories would produce nearly 800,000 bicycles in 1896, and most would have wooden rims. Each rim required 2.5 board feet of rock elm. That meant that 6 million board feet of the wood was being consumed each year on rims alone, not to mention other wooden bike parts. The author complained that all of the select elm was going to the rims, raising the price and making good grades difficult to find for other industries. If that wasn't problem enough, there was a new trend toward wooden handlebars that threatened to wreak havoc on the supply of hickory. And then there was the wooden crates that the bicycles were shipped in. The author's point was that such a minor piece of fluffery as a bicycle having a noticeable effect on the massive American lumber industry was further proof of how important wood is to mankind. Thanks to Jeff Burks for sharing this interesting article.
Bridge City Tool Works makes heirloom quality hand tools like infill planes and marking gauges. But a chopstick maker? Recently, John Economaki came up with an idea of a planing jig for making chopsticks for a trade show they were attending in China. What they came up with was an innovative base that holds a strip of wood at an angle and a mating plane that shaves material away while using the entire width of the blade. The result is a perfectly tapered set of chopsticks in about 5 minutes. This will never catch on, right? Well, it was a huge hit at the show, and what began as a novelty is now going into production. As with all Bridge City tools, the cost is likely to be high, but I suspect a jig like that would be far easier for me to use than those stinking chopsticks are to eat with.
This Ted's Woodworking guy is getting out of control. It's time to put a stop to it. If you don't know who I'm talking about, Ted Woody McGrath is a made-up guy that only exists on the internet. The photo of him on his website is a stock image you can buy for a few bucks at several clip art sites. Those so-called endorsements he's got on his site, like AOL, Entrepreneur, CNN, USA Today, none of these have endorsed him or his amazing set of 16,000 woodworking plans on DVD. So the whole thing starts out with a big old whopper of a lie right on his home page. What TED really is an international scam that has done more harm than good to the woodworking industry by far. But how is that possible, you say? There are people who have produced glowing reviews of his collection. They seem satisfied. Well, what these people aren't telling you is that Ted's Woodworking is selling stolen woodworking plans. The vast majority of his 16,000 plans were gleaned from the internet and are copyrighted work of others. In many cases, the creators were giving the plans out for free, but that doesn't mean that Ted can package them and charge you 50 bucks. That's theft. And that's not where it ends. The collection includes plans stolen from various woodworking magazines and websites that are actually selling their plans, trying to make a living from their hard work, only to have these freeloading dirtbags take the food from their mouths. It blows my mind that there are people who will actually say it's a good value because it saves them all the time they would have to spend searching the internet to get those plans for free. How about this? I'll come over to your house and steal everything you own. It's a great deal for me because it saves me all the time I'd otherwise have to spend shopping for the stuff on my own. But this isn't just about stealing woodworking plans. It's about cockroaches. Yes, the people that sell this scam are the cockroaches of the internet. There are swarms of them who post fake comments on woodworking blogs and message boards with lies like, "Oh, I just happened to see this great deal. You folks should just check it out." They didn't just happen to stumble upon Ted's Woodworking. They're part of this multi-level marketing boondoggle, and they dishonestly present themselves to you in an effort to rip you off. Now they're going a step even further. They're actually posing as popular YouTube woodworkers. They steal videos from YouTube channels and repost them on their own channel, hoping that the creators' fans will come to them instead. It would be like me robbing a 7-Eleven and setting up a stand next door with all of their stuff so I could fool people to think that I'm selling Slurpees when I just really want to peddle them pee in a cup. This is a cancer, and it needs to be stopped. So, what can we do about it? We can all write honest descriptions of what this Ted's Woodworking is really all about and post it everywhere on the internet we can. On YouTube, on Facebook, Twitter, woodworking message boards, anywhere that will let you do it. Let's drown these scam artists out with sheer numbers, so the next time some poor schmuck types Ted's Woodworking into a Google search box, he'll see all the links to people exposing the truth about this fraud, instead of a few links of people that are lying about how great it is. Theft is still wrong, even in today's world. Let's stop saying it doesn't matter before Ted destroys the online woodworking community. And that's all I have to say about that. Well, that wraps things up for this edition of Behind the Sawdust. Feels like it was a little shorter, didn't it? Well, that's because we're trying a new experiment for the next 2 weeks. You see, we've been producing weekly episodes that are 25 to 30 minutes long. That's fine with some people, but others prefer their infotainment in smaller bites. So, what we're going to try doing is breaking each episode up into 3 episodes of about 10 to 15 minutes each. And we'll post them on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Then, when we have a project video, we'll post that on the weekend. That means shorter episodes, but more often. We'll try this for 2 weeks and see how everyone likes it. Leave your opinions in the comments below. In the meantime, you can sit back and have yourself a cold one, because you've earned it, my friend.